Hello everybody, welcome back to Max Reviews, and after about a month of waiting, I finally checked out Doctor Strange in the Multiuniverse of Madness in theaters. So this is going to be my spoiler-free review of it, so let's get talking about it. So Doctor Strange in the Multiuniverse of Madness takes place right after Spider-Man No Way Home and follows Doctor Strange as he deals with the Scarlet Witch while going through the Multiuniverse. Now, this was my second most anticipated film of the year. I had very high expectations for it. And with a movie called Multiuniverse of Madness, I was just really looking forward to it. And on top of that, Sam Raimi was directing, who had done the first 3 Spider-Man movies, and then he'd done the Evil Dead movies, which I haven't seen yet, but maybe in the future. But for this movie, I was really looking forward to it. The trailers sold me on it. It looked awesome, and it looked like they didn't even show who the villain was. And I checked it out, and it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be really, like, top tier, 10 out of 10. It didn't really even get on that level for me. When I was in the theaters, when I got out of it, I was thinking this is solid, like 9.5, 8.5, somewhere in there. And then on the ride home, I was thinking maybe it's a 7.5, and I'm trying to figure out, where do I land? Do I go high? Do I go low? And so just to get into it, starting with the good for this movie, I feel like there's a bunch of crazy things in this movie that absolutely nobody else in the entire world could have directed instead of Sam Raimi, because he does such an amazing, weird job with a bunch of sequences, especially in the last half. We have some crazy, weird stuff going on and a bunch of just terrifying stuff that I guess it's inspired by his Evil Dead movies, which I probably really do need to check out. There's some really cool and trippy imagery in here that had me just wowed by how amazing and weird and different it was. I love that they're moving the camera around in this movie, and Benedict Cumberbatch gives a great performance as Doctor Strange, and Elizabeth Olsen gives another, like, top tier right there with Doctor Strange performance as Wanda Maximoff and the Scarlet Witch. There's some fun cameos in here where they had all basically been spoilers. A few that I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that was happening. So they're all fairly enjoyable. I love just how the movie begins and everything with all these weird monsters showing up. But I was sort of a bit disappointed in the end where there was no monsters that hadn't been shown in the trailers, but they still looked so cool. There's a bunch of different Doctor Stranges in this movie, and they're all have different personalities. They look different, but at the core, they're about the same. And just how that works, there's a bunch of just really cool imagery in this movie, and it's a lot shorter. It feels very fast-paced because we jump into it and we're already going snap, keep going, speed. Bunch of stuff that I really enjoyed in here. Wong is a fun addition in here, as he was in the first movie. It feels a lot more, not exactly a lot more focused, but you feel the threat right out of the gate with this movie, where Doctor Strange, the original, took a while to sort of get going. And then the villains, when it's all revealed in the end, I really enjoyed what they did, because I did have some problems. I will get into that with my spoiler video coming out tomorrow, probably, with what they did with some shows and some stuff with Doctor Strange, and they sort of fixed that in this, and I really enjoyed that. There's a few things in here that are a bit to be just desired, but this movie still does keep the just crazy imagery and all the just fun stuff. It still could have a bit of a sense of humor while also being cheesy. I love, like, it's a sort of an homage to, I guess, Sam Raimi's zombie movies, where it does have some zombie stuff going on. It's just a fun thing to have that, and how crazy some of this stuff gets with new things being introduced. The multi-universe, I don't feel like we go really deep into it, but when we do have like this one scene where we're going through like 50 multi-universes, and we get to see each one, and it's really cool imagery that I enjoyed. And another thing else, all these weird creatures. It's a very darker MCU movie. It's easily the darkest one that I've ever seen, right behind probably Moon Knight, which I thought was fairly dark. You know, it still had some fun MCU stuff, but did have the darker aspect to it. And then it just, other than that, it just really does have quite a few character deaths and stuff in it, where I like it that this is more of a harder PG-13 movie rather than just maybe PG-13. It could be rated PG, I feel, with a bunch of the MCU movies, but this one is a harder PG-13. There's a lot of character deaths on screen, and I just enjoy that this movie does that and sort of matures the MCU a bit. But there are quite a few flaws, so let's move on to the bad. First thing here, when you have a title called The Multiuniverse of Madness, I feel like this movie heavily disappoints when you come to The Multiuniverse of Madness, because it doesn't feel like we're 100% going through the multi-universe. We see one amazing scene where we just go through in like under a minute and see different multi-universes, and then we sort of like the first scene in the first Doctor Strange movie when the Ancient One shows him everything, opens his third eye, and then you also have they get trapped in one multi-universe, which didn't feel too crazy. I feel like it could get quite a bit crazier than it actually did. Another problem here, I don't know how a bunch of people are feeling about this, but I didn't really care about America Chavez in this movie. She's the one that could actually open up the portals to different multi-universes. I just feel like she's a fun enough character, but she doesn't 100% get me on board with her character. Like, if we see her in the future, I'll be like, okay, but I don't really feel invested in her because it's just such a basic story where her parents are gone and then she's gotta find them. It just feels very basic, and then we don't move forward with that. She does have the thing with Doctor Strange where she has to trust him again, which is slightly interesting, but I don't feel like she's given enough in this movie for me to actually care. Wong is in this movie, but he's not exactly there as... I like him and Strange's relationship, but he's not exactly there as a... He's there for the final fight. He's there more as a Sorcerer Supreme, not and more serious guy. He's not a bad aspect of the movie, but I'm a bit mixed on what to feel with Wong. And then just, I'm feeling sort of frustrated now where like the ending is like, hey, we gotta do this, and come on, follow me. And I'm like, really? When it comes to that post-credit scene, it's like, really? Like, it's still solid, but I don't really care a whole bunch. I'm like, yep, reminding me sort of Eternals and how that ended. So, this movie does have quite a few flaws. Another thing, a bunch of the stuff doesn't seem like it was directed by Sam Raimi. It just seems like basic MCU stuff, and I wasn't enjoying it as much. I feel like they should have brought up the Sam Raimi craziness and just had the entire movie just be like insanity. And then I just feel like another thing with the multi-universe, you have so much potential with so much that you could do. And the cameos that we do get, this is said in the trailer, so the Illuminati show up. And I think they're cool, but they're there for like 10-15 minutes and then they're gone. And that's it. Nothing else. And I feel so frustrated by that because when it's the multi-universe, the multiverse, you have so much potential, and that's all you do. You don't have any more fun little cameos. It's seriously all they do for cameos. And I don't want it to be like cameo. I want them to have actual like funner stuff in there, because when it is the multiverse, you could do so much. I don't want it to be a whole bunch of cameos, but I do want it to be a bunch of funner cameos, but it didn't exactly nail the cameos for me. And again, I think this movie should have had another half an hour of craziness, and Sam Raimi should have just gone absolutely wild with the entire movie, which I feel like maybe in the last half he went a bit crazy, but the rest of it, not 100%. And so, Doctor Strange in the Multiuniverse of Madness frustrated me. There's some aspects of it that I absolutely loved and are pushing the 9 for that, and then there's stuff that I'm like, oh, that was a bit of a problem, and I'm pushing towards a 7.5. So I'm going to go sort of right in the middle. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's a solid enough MCU movie, but I feel like maybe after a rewatch, it might go lower, it might go higher. We'll see. It's easily the best Doctor Strange movie, but I feel like there is a whole bunch more potential for this movie. So we'll see what the MCU has in store for the rest of the year. I'm looking forward to Secret Invasion, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and probably Thor Love and Thunder. We'll see how it turns out. So that's just my quick review. Come back tomorrow if you want to have my spoiler-filled review for Doctor Strange and Multiuniverse of Madness. But anyway, like, subscribe to Max Reviews. Thank you for watching. Enjoy it quite a bit that you guys are checking out my videos a bit more. So thanks, everybody. Braden out.